My daughter told me her stepdad was the only father she knew, so I quietly removed her as the primary beneficiary from all my accounts. Now she's begging for forgiveness, because she just found out she inherited nothing. Hello Reddit I Plus here. My name's Harrison. I'm 52, and if you'd told me 3 years ago that my only child would one day tell me another man was the father she deserved, I would have laughed it off as impossible. Back then, my world revolved around my daughter, Mia. I was the dad who showed up to every school play, packed lunches with dumb little notes, and stayed up until midnight helping with science projects. I wasn't perfect, but I tried hard to be the kind of man she could always count on. Then came Rachel, my ex-wife, and the slow-motion implosion of our family. Rachel and I had been married nearly 16 years. We'd had our ups and downs, but I thought we were solid. She worked as a project coordinator at an architectural firm. I noticed her texting more, smiling at her phone like a teenager. When I asked who it was, she said it was just Darren from work. Later, I found emails, long, romantic letters, the kind people used to write during wartime. She swore it wasn't physical, just an emotional connection she needed. I was stupid enough to believe that distinction mattered. When I confronted her, she didn't cry. She didn't even deny it. She just said, "You stopped seeing me a long time ago." By the time I moved into a small basement apartment, she was already seeing him openly. And somehow, I became the villain in my daughter's eyes. Losing Mia was 13, braces, oversized hoodie, obsessed with K-pop and graphic novels. When I told her what happened, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Mom said you made her miserable. Maybe Darren makes her happy, I didn't fight it." I told myself she was just confused. That time would fix it. I kept showing up. Every soccer game, every open house, every scheduled weekend. I paid for her school trip to Boston. Bought her the new phone she'd wanted for months. When Christmas came around, I wrapped up a box of all her favorite things. Sketchbooks, markers, headphones. She opened it, looked at me blankly, and said, "You're trying too hard." I laughed it off then, but it hurt. It hurt in a way no words could touch. March 10th. The date burned into my memory. I picked her up for our court-ordered Wednesday dinner. We went to Olive Garden, her favorite since she was 8. She didn't look at the menu once, just scrolled through her phone while I tried to make small talk. "How's school?" I asked. She sighed like I'd asked her to recite the Constitution. "Fine. What about your science project? The volcano thing?" She didn't even look up. "Mom's helping me now. Darren found a better idea anyway." Then, out of nowhere, she said it. "You know, Darren treats Mom the way she deserves. He listens. He's successful. He's like the kind of father I wish I had." She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I froze. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. I couldn't even speak. I just nodded, paid the bill, and drove her home in silence. That night, I cried harder than I did the day Rachel told me she was leaving. For 2 days, I didn't move from my couch. My sister Teresa, who lived 4 hours away, showed up unannounced. She'd been through her own heartbreak. Her husband had left her for her best friend, so she knew that hollow look in my eyes. She cleaned my apartment, forced me to eat, and finally said, "You keep trying to prove your worth to people who already decided they don't care. You don't owe them your future." Those words flipped a switch in me. The next morning, I called my financial advisor and removed Mia as the primary beneficiary from my retirement accounts and life insurance policies. I made Teresa the beneficiary instead. Then I logged into the college fund I'd built for Mia since the day she was born. $200 a month, every month, for 14 years. $48,000 saved for a dream that apparently didn't include me. That money started working for me instead. I took Teresa on a trip to Italy, something we'd always talked about but never done. We ate pizza under the stars in Naples, took photos at the Colosseum, and laughed for the first time in what felt like forever. I bought myself a decent car, a used Audi I'd been eyeing for years. Moved out of that depressing basement and into a 1-bedroom with sunlight, plants, and quiet. I still paid child support. Still showed up when the court required. But emotionally, I shut the door. A month later, Mia started noticing. She texted, "Hey Dad, how are you?" I replied, "Fine. Can you come to my next game?" "Sure." She tried to start conversations, but I gave nothing more than polite, empty replies. My therapist called it gray rocking. It worked. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. Then, 3 weeks ago, everything exploded. Mia showed up at my apartment while I was at work. My landlord said she claimed she'd left something in my car. Instead, she snooped through my office and found the updated beneficiary forms and the college fund statements. That evening, my phone lit up with missed calls and angry texts. She arrived at my door, trembling, eyes red. "You stole my college money. That was supposed to be mine. I let her yell. Every accusation, every insult. When she finally ran out of breath, I said quietly, "You said Darren was the father you deserved. Maybe he can help with tuition." Her face fell. The defiance drained out of her. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Then she turned and left. An hour later, Teresa got a text from her. "Your brother's a monster." Teresa replied with a photo of us at the Trevi fountain, both smiling. Mia blocked us both. Rachel called the next day, threatening court, saying I was cruel and vindictive. I told her I had Mia's words saved in a voicemail. The line went dead. That was 5 days ago. Mia's been posting online about toxic parents and betrayal. I don't follow her anymore. I can't. Do I miss her? Every single day. There's not a morning I don't check my phone, half expecting an apology that'll never come. But I also know this. I gave her every ounce of love I had, and she chose to believe the version of me that fit her mother's story. So now, I'm learning to live for myself. I read more. I cook. I travel when I can. I call Teresa every Sunday, and sometimes, when I drive past Olive Garden, I catch myself smiling. Not out of pain anymore, but relief, because that was the night I finally stopped begging for a place in a story that no longer wanted me in it. 3 years passed. 3 long, quiet years. By then I was 55, with more gray in my beard and a peace I hadn't known in decades. The bitterness had faded like old paint. Still there in places, but no longer the first thing you noticed. Mia was 16 now. I didn't see her much, not beyond the occasional school update through the court app or the brief mention from mutual friends. I didn't ask questions anymore. I'd learned the hard way that silence was sometimes safer than hope. But one October evening, just as the sun dipped below the skyline, I got a message that cracked open something I thought had long been sealed. It came from an unknown number. "Hi, Dad, it's Mia. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. My first instinct was to ignore it. Then I thought of all the nights I used to pray she'd reach out. I typed back one word, "Sure." She asked to meet the next day at a small cafe near the river, the same one where she and I used to go for hot chocolate when she was little. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, remembering the little girl who once held my hand crossing parking lots and told me I was her favorite person. When I walked into that cafe, I saw her sitting in the corner. She looked older, taller, sharper around the edges. Her hair dyed a soft copper tone, but her eyes were still the same. She stood when she saw me, hesitated, then gave a small, awkward wave. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey." We sat. The silence between us was heavy, like a book we were both afraid to open. Finally she spoke. "I know you probably don't want to hear from me." I didn't say anything, just waited. She fidgeted with her sleeves. "I found out some stuff. About Mom. About Darren." The way she said his name, flat, distant, told me everything. Apparently Darren wasn't the fairy tale man she'd imagined. He'd lost his job 2 years in, got another one, then cheated on Rachel with one of his co-workers. They split after Rachel found texts. Ironically, the same way I'd found out years ago. "Mom's a mess," she said softly. "She blames everyone but herself, and Darren, he just disappeared." She looked down, voice trembling. "I said awful things to you, things I can't take back. I thought you were the bad guy because that's what she told me. I didn't even give you a chance." I wanted to reach across the table, to tell her it was okay, but something in me hesitated, because it wasn't. She kept talking, tears spilling quietly now. "When I went through your papers, the day I found out about the college fund, I was so angry. But I didn't understand. I just wanted someone to blame." I nodded slowly. "I know. I started working part-time this year," she said, "trying to save for college myself. It's not easy, but I get it now, what you were trying to do. You gave, and I took it all for granted." Her words cracked something inside me that I didn't realize was still fragile. I leaned back, took a deep breath, and said quietly, "Mia, I never stopped being your father, even when you didn't want me to be." She looked up at me, eyes wide. "I just stopped trying to convince you." She nodded, lips trembling. "I know, and I don't deserve your forgiveness." I reached across the table this time, placed my hand over hers. "You don't have to earn it. It was never gone. It wasn't a movie moment. We didn't hug and fix everything right there. But that afternoon started something new, a fragile truce, built not on obligation, but understanding. Over the next few months, we met for coffee every Sunday. We talked about small things at first, school, her art projects, her part-time job at a bookstore. Slowly, piece by piece, she started opening up about everything. The resentment, the confusion, the regret. Rachel didn't like it. She sent me a furious message one night saying I was poisoning her daughter again. I didn't respond. For once, I didn't have to. Mia saw her mother's manipulations clearly now. The graduation. 2 years later, I sat in a crowded gymnasium, watching her walk across the stage in her cap and gown. When she spotted me in the crowd, she smiled, the kind of smile I hadn't seen since she was 12. After the ceremony, she walked straight to me, past her mother's glare, and wrapped her arms around me. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up on me even when I didn't deserve it." I didn't say anything. I just held her. Because sometimes silence says everything. The full circle. She went to community college at first, paid her own way with scholarships and part-time work. One day, she called and said, "I got accepted to state, and I want you to come help me move into the dorm." That weekend, as we carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs, she said, "You know, I kept that old phone you bought me, the one I said I didn't want." I laughed. "Seriously?" She nodded. "Yeah, I couldn't throw it away. It reminded me of you later. When I drove home that night, I looked in the rearview mirror at her fading figure in the parking lot. And for the first time in years, I felt whole again. Now, when I visit her at college, we sit by the campus fountain, drinking coffee, joking about her impossible professors. Sometimes she apologizes again, still guilty about the past. I always tell her the same thing. The past doesn't define you. What you do next does. And every time she smiles and says, "I got that from you." Funny thing is, she probably did. Lee.